What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Zach. This is your mental health check-in. How are you? Please be 100% honest. Mental health, some might think, that's no big deal. And I know that. I've seen people think that. But you know something? Someone's mental health is a lot more serious than some people might think. No matter who you are. No matter whether you're somebody that's walking with a walker or, walking with crutches or even sitting in a wheelchair. Everybody's mental health, no matter what your disability is, everybody's mental health is more important than what a lot of people really think. Or, it's more important than what a lot of people think or they want you to think they think. They want you to think, it's not that bad. It's not that important. But guess what? It is. And, I'll say this again. As someone that's sitting down, and I say this for everybody, people that are walking will fuck with your mental health. Why? Because people walking think that people sitting down aren't, don't have the feeling of like a person walking does. And it will mess with you. But I promise you, whether you're walking on your own or walking with crutches or walking with a walking cane or even walking with a walker or even sitting in a wheelchair like myself or anybody it could be that's in those positions, your mental health is 100% just the same as everybody else's mental health. In other words, your mental health is just as important. But, like I say, some people will see you with that disability, whether it's like me with spina bifida, and mine's level 1, which is just because of my balance. Or, maybe it's, you have a missing limb, in other words, you have a missing arm or leg or foot or even a hand. And people will mess with you. And, it's one thing when, if someone's, just teasing you. And, it's one thing when someone's teasing you, especially if you know they're teasing. If you know they're teasing and you tease them right back, that's the way that goes. If someone's really messing with you and they're just, and if they're just teasing you, just tease you, and they're teasing, laugh about it. If you know they're teasing, and they're teasing, if someone's teasing you and they're teasing, laugh about it. But it's one of those things where, guess what? Somebody could be, really, really just screwing with your mind. And to them, they think, they're going to know I'm teasing. But some people, guess what? We all go through a lot of hell. And trust me when I say, yes, I am one that's went through a lot of hell myself for 36 years. Almost 37. Almost 37 years in October. You know, and a lot of people don't get that. You know, even though I got a wheelchair, I'm just the same as somebody walking. And that goes for anybody that has a wheelchair, a walker, or crutches, or a walking cane. You're just like anybody else. You just have a different way of getting from point A to point B. And that's more than okay. So, with that said, to those people who don't have to, that don't have a walker, or don't have crutches, or don't have a wheelchair, or a walking cane, that's walking on their own, keep that in mind. That even somebody that's in a wheelchair, or has a walker, or crutches, or even a walking cane, their mental health is just as important as yours. And like I say, it's more than okay to ask questions. Because when you ask questions, that's how you find stuff out. And I know I don't, I myself feel like a lot of people don't understand that. I've got a friend of mine, as I've mentioned a couple times, that's got cerebral palsy. Who's born with cerebral palsy. And, he can walk, but still, he went through so much with being bullied, so much with being dumped and turned down by girls, or by females, because of his disability when it comes to, dating and relationships. And I know a lot of people don't see it, but guess what? That can fuck with somebody's mind. That messes with somebody's health. That messes with somebody's health, mental health, more than you know. Because I promise you, each and every one of us, I don't care what your position is. I do care, but what I'm saying is, whether you're walking on your own, you're walking with a walker, you're walking with crutches, or a walking cane, or, again, you're like me that's sitting in a wheelchair. Everybody's mental health is the same. In other words, everybody's mental health is just as important as we're just as important. Our mental health, as someone that's sitting down, my mental health is just the same as somebody that's walking. And a lot of people over time, yes, that we can just get away with being a bully, or being a rude person, and that ain't gonna hurt them. And trust me, it fucks with your mind. I know I've said that for a bunch, but it does. It messes with your mind more than what you might understand. And you know what? It needs to stop. Like I said, I'm 36 years old, And I still, today, have never once been a relationship or even a date. You know, I've had those chances where, or where that person made me think it was a chance, you know, as a relationship, and then boom, friend zone. No, that'll fuck with someone's mental health more than what people realize. Now, listen to me. I know I say the F word a lot, as I've done on this YouTube video, but it's got to stop, and it's flat out irritating. Now, I know there's a lot of good people out there. There is good people out there. Don't get me wrong, because I know a lot of good people. But just because for myself, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean that I can't have kids or that I can't, get married or date someone. It doesn't mean that I can't do anything. Yeah, I get it. It's different, because most people, or a lot of people, I should say, they're used to, being around somebody that's standing up. And that's understandable. But a lot of things, again, will mess with your mental health if you're not careful. And you mess with somebody's mental health too much, can lead to a lot of problems. We'll just leave it at that. I mean, you can take that and go with it where you want to, and think about how you want to, because messing with somebody's mental health can really, really it can really hurt somebody. I'm not kidding. As I said, I've got a friend of mine who also, as I mentioned, calls me his big brother, as I call him my little brother. Even though he's walking, or he still got bullied a bunch, more times than I can tell you, that he told me about. And this last one, I guess this last time really scared him, and it messed with his mental health big time, because that bully said, "You tell anybody, you won't be here. You won't be here no more." And that will fuck with somebody's mind. And that's how some people can't, are. Unfortunately, they think it's just funny to mess with people. But no matter what no matter what your disability is, or what you got going on, your mental health is just the same as everybody else. In other words, we all have mental health. Everybody's got that, got that. And some people, your mental health can get triggered real easy. I mean, in other words, it can get messed with real easy. Because guess what? Some people go through so much, more than what some people might understand. And sometimes, yes, people 100% understand, but they think, oh, this person's got a disability. Let me see if I can't mess their mental health up even more. and it's stupid that things like that happen, because nobody deserves that. Nobody. Now, like I said, I know I sound like a grump right now, probably to you, but these are things that I find, that I feel strong about, because I think these are one of the most important things, because so many people, I'm not kidding you. In fact, I know people that are not here right now, that committed suicide, that are here, that are not here right now because they got messed with. You may not realize it because maybe you're someone that don't get messed with a lot, or haven't got messed with a lot. But I promise you, mental health is 100% needed. I mean, it's needed to be understood. Because when you mess with somebody, mental health, it's gonna, I said, some people you can tease and they know you're teasing, and they're gonna give it right back to you, teasing you back. But again, there's some people out there that don't, that can't tell if you're teasing or not, because of the hell that they've been through. Maybe you're teasing somebody that's been through hell, their whole life, and by you teasing them, they think, oh, this person is not really teasing. This person really means this or that or whatever the case may be, and that's gonna mess with their mental health even more. So yes, mental health is one of the most important things that everybody should understand. So do me a favor. Always keep that in mind. When you're teasing, if you tease somebody, think about that mental health. Think about, if a person tells you what they've been through, or, what they're going through, think about it before you actually think, oh, I'm just going to tease them. And they'll understand if I tease them. Some people don't take it that lightly. Why? Because they've been fucked with a lot. So again, if there's anything you'd like to hear, let me know, and I will get that done for you. And yes, I am making this a working paid job. And yes, if you subscribe to me or a comment, I will subscribe back to you. I appreciate y'all watching. Keep going. Let's get it.